Hey guys, how y'all doing? My name is Kieran and this is Fox Off RPG. So today we're going to be doing another look at several different books. This one's going to be a little shorter, but I'm going to spend probably a little more time looking at one or two of the books. So today we're going to be looking at two ACKS books and one OSE book. So the first one's going to be, well, I'm not necessarily going to look at them in this order, but you get my point. So we're going to have Mulyadi the Conqueror. This is an ACKS II book. This is by Chubby Funster. The next one is Warlords of Gavardia. Again, also by Chubby Funster, and also for ACKS II. Now, I feel like this is going to be Chubby's week on the channel because, again, we're going to be looking at these two books. We were interviewing him for the second time there the other day, which I will link in the top right hand corner, of course. And I think probably either this Sunday or Monday, depending how timing works out, I will be drawing up my review of his game Ambition and Avarice 2, or 2nd edition. We also have Ryecroft. Sorry. This one's for Old School Essentials, and you can see it's still sealed. I backed this on Kickstarter, so I'm very excited to get this. This is one of the, I think it's they had different levels they called. I think this is the second level early backers one. So you get a couple things in here as well, maps and some other stuff. So we're going to actually unbox this and go through this one first. But yeah, I'm also really excited to look at these. I think these should be getting more attention from the ACKS crowd. They are brilliant. As you know, I really do like ACKS. I'm trying to learn as much about it as I can, but it is a very big system. The core of it is actually very, very simple, but you can get very complex and very deep, or journey at the higher levels, but you can get into that as quickly as you want, really. But I will be spending more and more time, of my own time, learning more and more about ACKS. So first, we're going to be looking at Ryecroft. Essentially, it's going to be a starting level area. It's going to be taking place in a cemetery, and from what I remember or know, it's essentially going to be a point crawl. But of course, like, this is going to work with any old school type game system. You might have to change things a little bit. Like, example, if you want to run this in AD&D, you'd want to up the hit dice and damage dice probably, increase the number of monsters maybe. Yeah, so this will be quite interesting. Right, so before we get into the actual video in any real depth, I want to again thank everyone for checking out my videos. It's been awesome, as you all know. The channel has grown tremendously in the last few months. Only started at the end of February, and we're now in near the end of August. And, you know, we're over 500 subscribers, which is insane. People are checking the videos all the time, which is, you know, awesome. You comment. It's just, I don't know, it's just so cool. But I'm not going to do this all the time, but I will leave a link for my socials and stuff like that in the pinned comment and in the description. So you have my X account, the Discord group if you want to jump on. It's growing a little bit more all the time. I get a little more interaction from people, which is pretty cool. So if you want to jump on there, you can talk about anything. You can talk about movies, TV shows, anime, you know, RPG talk. If you want to organize stuff in there, you can. I don't mind. It's all good. And if you do jump on there, I will, if you do jump on there and there's any channels you want, be a text or a voice, let me know and I'll open them up, no problem. But yeah, so that's really it, guys. If you remember, like, comment, subscribe, that helps out the channel massively, and, you know, it doesn't do much in terms of cost for you guys. And I'll also link my DriveThru RPG for, you know, these products if you want to get them, as well as any social media stuff I can find. I think you can get the physical copy like this on the creator's website. So I always link all that stuff, as you know. But yeah, let's unbox this. This is going to be kind of like a semi unboxing and look at. So this one I'm going, like, the ACKS stuff I'm going to be looking at a little more detail, and this is going to be a little more first impression sort of look through. Give me one sec. This is very well packed, and that's always a great thing. So we're obviously going to take all this stuff out. going to throw this plastic away. Give me one sec, guys. I might cut that out. We'll see. If I don't, it's not a big deal. But yeah, so we're going to have a look at this. First, I think we'll look at the handouts and see what they are exactly. Because I honestly cannot remember. So the back of this is literally just the back of Ryecroft. So ever since the plague, and Ever since the plague and conquesting rise of the Abbey over 180 years ago, Ryecroft has been left to its fate, an overgrown and unearthly place. Most have heard of it. Start again. So we have this came from the back as well. It's on the back of the book. It's just a piece of paper, But it says, ever since the plague and conquest rise of the Abbey, over 180 years ago, so Ryecroft has been left to its fate, an overgrown and unearthly place. Most have heard of it, do their best to avoid it. Some say that the dead roam its memorial-strewn grounds, but the knowledgeable believe otherwise. Before her death, the old abbess swore that the dead would never rise within its boundaries, and she was mostly right. It is not the dead that trespassers should fear. It's the things below. I know some people will laugh when I say things. Okay, so we have a collectibles record. I do not have a clue what these are. Blue shards collectibles record form. Tick when confirmed. Blue shard glasses have been collected. Shared locations. Okay. So we're building up basically a stained glass window. Okay. I'm not sure. I think this might be for the DM only. I'm not sure. Okay. Collectibles. Bones of the Saint. Collectibles record form. Okay. You talk about the spine, chest, skull, arm, pelvis, and leg. Tick once an item has been collected. And the Lost Crescent collectibles record form. So you have items essentially. Okay. And things: a dead cat, 100 poisonous spiders, a horse skull, long sword of +1, ring of protection +1, pushing a healing, a dagger, a dragon scale, 2,000 silver pieces. Okay. Interesting. A memorials record. Within the cemetery rounds, there have been many memorials to the deceased. Rather than detail one of these, we provide information and appendices of the main book for generating memorials on the fly. Other memorials are fully detailed. Refer to the following master list and number of cemetery locations. This indicates the specific number of detailed locations along with the associated page reference. Okay, so this is for creating on the fly memorials. Okay, that's cool. I don't exactly know how this works within the game here. Within the book, I mean. Let's load them here. So this is basically just for writing down and keeping track and stuff. Of course, you'll have PDFs of all this stuff. Okay, we have the player-facing map, I believe. Nice. So this is quite a large map, guys. It's quite big. Center to the hex of the center is equal to 30 feet. So each of these squares, the hex is about 60 feet from corner to corner, from the middle to the other middle corner. Okay. So this essentially, there's the Abbey, and you're going to work your way around. This is the player-facing side, and here is a more zoomed-out version. So here's the actual cemetery. that we'll be looking at, and there's the surrounding area. And of course you get some pretty cool looking art piece stuff in here, which is awesome. But yeah, that's cool. Okay. I think this is the zoomed out location of it, actually. I think so, anyway. And then we have a GM facing location map of everything, which is pretty cool. And some other stuff on the other side, which we'll have a look at now in 1 second. Okay. Okay. Okay, I see. Okay. It's the same thing, but you also have a bunch of numbers and areas, locations, and map notes up in the top corner up here. Again, this is actually quite a big size. You're not going to see it all on camera. But yeah, it's fairly well detailed. It looks great. It feels great. The quality in this is amazing. It's not light paper. It's quite strong and sturdy, which is great. But then on the other side, we have the underground, which is very interesting. Okay. We have the different blue glass shard locations as well listed. Okay, this is pretty damn awesome. There's a lot of detail here, different areas where you can go. Some areas are contested and uncontested. Again, I do not know what this means. But from what I can tell, here is the Abbey location. This is where we would start. So this is going to be a much bigger area underneath the ground. You make your way down. This is the called the Woodling territory. Then we have the Worm King territory, Maggot King territory, and Abysses territory. So obviously we have a bunch of creatures and monsters who are in some way at odds at each other, and it's probably going to be up to the players to try and navigate that, which is obviously always pretty damn awesome in my opinion. You know, you use a little bit of your brain cells. But yeah. Oh yeah, of course, when I will publish this video, as always, I'll have everything time-stamped. So if you just want to look at some of the ACKS stuff, you can. If you just want to look at the Ryecroft, you can. Or you want to look at everything, which is pretty damn awesome. If you do, thank you. You can do that. So again, this is not a small book. This is well over 200 pages. 224 pages. Yeah, this is actually quite a big book, guys. It's in like a nice digest size as well, so it's not going to take up a ton of room. The writing's a good size, you're able to read things. Then you have a memorial list of backers and are immortalized here forever, based on their different what you call it, the backing. If you back the highest, most expensive level, you will then have your name in here. That's pretty cool. It has the introductory, it has the history, and it talks with the Midlands. Now, the creator of this, let me get the name right, is Glenn Seal. Glenn Seal. He has I think it's a game setting called Midlands, and this takes place within that, which is pretty damn cool. While it's suited for first level characters, it can quickly become a deadly place for the unwary, and caution is advised at low levels. A referee may decide to start a player at a second level or higher, with some notable exceptions. There are not many undead here, which is deliberately against the typical trope of cemeteries and fantasy role-playing games. Instead, this location focuses on the twisted inhabitants that thrive on the dead and their legacies. Ryecroft Cemetery can be placed in any fantasy role-playing game setting, but is advised to locate it a good few miles away from any populated areas, which is obviously pretty damn clear. but it's always good to have things said. Like, obviously you can see the stained glass here, you can see the maggots, you see the worms, and like I don't, it looks like not a cockroach, but the thing that eats wood, and you have a skull, so it's obviously there's something to do with this in here. It talks about the Midlands. Well, Ryecroft is not specifically set in the middle of the campaign setting. Anyone familiar with it see the occasional homage and reference. We suggest that you do place Ryecroft there. Is a good place to start, but somewhere else on Hex 0907 on the Midlands map, with the closest settlement of Woodchurch Eastern on Hex 0807. So yeah, that's pretty damn cool. So you have, again, if you have your Midlands map or campaign setting stuff, you can plug that in. Of course, if you don't, plug it into any game. Hey, if you want, you can plug it into ACKS, into one of these places, you know. Over 300 years ago, the monastery was built on the low hill known as the Welling Rise. Risen from the surroundings of rye fields, the monks and nuns that lived there were reclusive, and the order known as the Silent Order kept themselves to themselves, devoting their lives to servitude to an obscure deity which persisted over for vermin, insects that feed upon the dead. So yeah, it talks about a lot more stuff here about the history, timeline, events. Beautiful art. The village of Woodchurch Eaton, which I think it's kind of funny. You know, church, it talks about wood. You know, everything's being eaten up. We have what appears to be mice or louse, like wood louse, and you know, the dead bodies being eaten up. That's just me. I think it's kind of funny. And then it has the named locations for everything here. So you have one, you have the church. You have two, you have the Royal Oak. It's going to be the inn, which is over here. Then you have number 3, which is the village hall. Number 4 is the farm, and number 5 is the village store. And it has 10 very obvious locations. And of course, you can add more in and adapt things to your own setting. Has a bunch of adventure hooks here. Like there's going to be 20 of them, it appears. Yep, 20 adventure hooks. You know, so you can plug them in and have things done appropriately for your game. You can just make stuff up to have your characters or players go there. Clearing hexes, all kinds of here to some degree. Hinder them. Okay, so this talks about the way things are going to be done. Movement rates. Okay, so unhindered, 100%. A PC can move 120 feet every turn, which is going to be 4 hexes. Pathway, a PC can move 90%, so 3 hexes off the path. You can move half. Choked, you can move basically 1, or wooded, you can move 1. And it talks about what they are. And then it gives an example of what these hexes are. So yeah, randomly determined, 2 and 6 chance. So you can say that one is wooded, or it's just, you know, it's just bad ground. You can follow the path for easy access, but you're not going to go on full speed. Off the path hexes here, your woodland hexes, the different dates, sights and sounds, stuff you're going to hear around. You have daytime encounter tables here, which is cool. And this is going to be above ground, I believe. Yeah. So check once every 2 turns. Roll 1d6, and a result of a 6 roll on the following table. And of course, depending on your system and what you do, roll on the 1. I generally do things on the roll of the 1. That's just me. You have nighttime encounters here. You have gargoyles, giant spiders, crab spiders or black widow spiders, servant lice, protector lice, giant magnets, grubkin lesser, Ryecroft slug. You have near water encounters, so you have giant leeches of Ryecroft, wood lice, servant lice, protector lice. Discretion. Desecration. There is something morally objectionable about disturbing the rest of the dead, and those who do so should be affected. Some more than others, player characters may become affected the more they torment the dead. Whenever a player character disrupts a burial, see disturbing the dead, they gain desecration points or DPS or DPs. Simply observing while others open a burial count does not count towards the DPs, but consult the DP effect variable on the appropriate chart. Okay, so this is going to be on for lawful players. Okay, so you're going to start. If you get 20 of them, you're going to have anxiety. Spellcasters have a 5% chance of spell failure. Attack rolls suffer -1 penalties. Crying for no reason. All saves are -2. So maybe you're looking for true stuff. You're going to gain more items, but maybe you're also trying to find those shards. Those shards seem to be quite important. I'm going to find out what they are. So you have neutral players. You then have like chaotic players, and the chaotic players is. At 50, you think it's time to learn about necromancy. You will actively open every burial sites, burials you find unless restrained. So you become like needing to do it. 200 plus spellcasters casting spells related to dead do so at 2 level higher. You must kill at least 1 being per day or suffer a -4 to all penalty saves. So if you get to that point, you could play this on in other games in the future as well. If you finish up here, if your character survived, you're basically your evil character needs to do some sort of sacrifice all the time, which is a pretty damn cool idea. Talks about atonement, what you can do. You know, give away gold, bless spells. There's a couple things here. -10 deploy points. You can recover a lost artifact or relic important to the church or temple. There's different collectibles here. It's going to be a number of cemeteries are going to need a number of authors to collect while exploring the whole cemetery location. Once collected, they combine a powerful effects. Okay, so the blue glass shards. The belief, truth. Okay, against the different locations of where they are, what numbers. Okay. Bones of the Saint. Tombs of the Lost Crescent. Woodings. Maggotkin. Wormkin. Obviously talks about what these factions are. How they work. Again, this is just going to be a quick look through. I'm actually going very slow. I'm going to go a little higher. A little faster. I said higher because it says higher help. Collectibles, hired help, where you can get people to come along to help you out. It's not a large village. First entry, the first time you see as a referee, you got a checklist. Just checklist of what you need to do when you go. You have to have obviously rest and recuperation. Woodchurch Eaton serves as a useful base while exploring Ryecroft, but the availability of healing and tailor service is limited. A journey to Stratford to spend in ill-gotten gains might be needed to replenish perishables and supplies. So since it's a small village or town, you're going to have to go into another area to get more goods. You know, you might need more equipment. Maybe you need rope, arrows, stuff like that, or anything else you might think of. I talked about refereeing, different elements here. Furthermore, on the adventure, so then this is definitely just an area mission quest location you're going to plug into pretty much any game you want. Talks about the cemetery here and the burial numbered cemetery locations. Location names, entries, what they are, where they are, what's inside them. Some are going to have blue shards, some of them will have other interesting items, bone locations, cemetery numbered locations. There's more here. It's quite a few actually. Different items you can come across. Giant maggots. 10. AC 9. Hit dice 1 is going to have 5 hit points. 1 bite attack 1d4. Tackle 18 plus 1. Movement is 30, but it goes 10 in. Okay, 30/10, so they're very slow. Saves, yeah. 10 XP. 1 to 10 or 1 1d10 or 1d6. No treasure type. Okay. So there won't be all numbered locations. What's going to show up? It gets a bit more detail. Each square is equal to 5 feet on this map here. Okay, and we're just having a flip through to this because I don't know much about this, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I looked at the PDF a little bit, but I learned better from actual books. I remember when I was looking over this on the PDF, I was super interested because I remember the Kickstarter was super cool, and I was like, oh, this sounds and looks really cool. And also, like, I want to say the quality in this book is amazing. The pages on this are quite thick, they're sturdy, like they're sharp, like they're not gonna fall apart anytime soon, and they're a nice matte color, which I do like. The catacombs beneath. Dun dun dun. So remember when we opened up that big map? On the other side, it had underground. So here you go. The Abbey's tomb. So the woman who was in control of things, or who ran the church. Yeah, there's more here. This is the underground. That's basically a small version of the map we were looking at. The core top family crypts, so it's obviously a family location where they're all laid to rest. Lake of Reflection catacombs, Magakin territory. Okay. Food store. A food store containing decaying meat, flesh, carcasses, vegetation, and maggot, pulpy, and eggs. Stench is overpowering, resulting in a -1 attack on attack rolls and saves. So they're doing things in a quite... That's creepy. The maggots all over. I like this. Okay. Magakin territory. There's more here. It's basically just talking about what's going to be in different areas. Pet cemetery. Of course we have a pet cemetery. We need a pet cemetery. I wonder if there's any weird ongoing stuff that might go on there. Or interesting stuff. You have the maggots territory now. Again, we're just having a quick flip through this. This is not any like serious look at in terms of, oh, I know everything about it. I know nothing about this book. I was just very excited to get this. This came the other day. I remember on the Kickstarter, I was very interested in it. And we have a bestiary, a list of a bunch of monsters. So it goes from 156 down to 192 of new monsters and creatures. And look, awesome art. I'm not sure if everything here is brand new. Or some, okay. Bestiary, cemetery, pets. So yeah, we have some interesting stuff here. Okay, that's cool. Ooh, cool. That's a cool looking golem thing. It's obviously created bone golem. 3 heads, 4 arms, and weird legs, which is always awesome. We love weird things, and that's a sexy beast. Look at that sexy beast. He took a school photo. Oh man, Magakin. There's something disturbing about this, and they're colorful, which is kind of funny. Like they pop out really nice, they look well, but like that is creepy as hell. Giant rats, silverfish giant, woodlings. Yeah, they're like the wood lice thing. They kind of look like cockroaches. That's nasty. The wormkin. I think this art is so cool, very charming. And we have our lone adventurer there fighting against the great black worm. Okay, let's have a look at the great black worm here. Okay, it's AC 6. I like how it has descending and ascending as well. It's a 15 hit dice, 68 hit points if you don't want to roll it out. You have one bite attack, which is 2d12 plus swallow whole, attack of 9 plus 10. The movement is very slow. It's 60-20. It has the saves, which wow. Death save for will. Okay, wow. This is a big boy. 3,250 XP if you defeat this. This is okay. I'm getting more into this now. Magic items, new spells, charm vermin. Okay. Playable class. Okay, we have a new player. I did not know there was going to be a playable class in this. Okay, it has a whole progression up to level 10. And if you know anything about OSE other stuff, it's very easy to go beyond that. Protector lice. Okay, you can play as these. Okay. Wormomancer. Oh my god, you have a worm spellcaster. That is so cool. And you have appendices. Okay. Grave goods, different kinds. Animal locations. Okay, here's the appendices stuff for the name generators here. So you use these for your own characters, or it's for the different graves you can basically pillage. You can look for things, because you will have to look in some of these graves as well, because some of these collectible items are going to be in there, which is obviously very interesting what could happen. So we're going to move on to some ACKS stuff. Now, we did actually spend a good amount of time looking over this because I was just very interested, and I did go a little too slow. But here we have Mulyadi the Conqueror. Now, both of these do not have a map inside, mainly because the map areas, they're very large. So I think it's Mulyadi, you can have a printed poster. One of these is, I'm pretty sure it's Mulyadi the Conqueror, you can have a printed poster off. With Warlords of Gavardia, it's such a massive landscape. I don't know if there currently is the printed poster of it, but regardless, whenever you get this, you will have PDFs of these, and you also have the maps. And the maps are beautiful. If you don't know about ACKS, the maps are not done in like 6 mod hexes or anything like that. They're done in 24 or 32 mod hexes. I believe 24 for the most part. At least that's what Chubby has done for these. And I just talked about how to use these books. Now, this book is about starting out in high level play. So your character is going to be, I think it's level 7 through 9. And it's basically about you starting off at high level. You're going to have a bunch of gold. You have gold stored in banks as well. You can then start creating your first stronghold if you wish. Then once you do that, you can then start raising armies. You can have people come in more and more. You can go on like have sea voyage and stuff. You can have hideouts and stuff as well. This is just a great way to start off with high level play without having to spend potentially months and months of gameplay to get to that point. If you want to get right into that more high level ACKS stuff, you can, and this gives you a great way of doing so. Again, this is going to have a lot of stuff to do with different characters. So here we have a Mulyadi. He's going to be like, obviously, the Conqueror, like it says. He's a fighter, titles a warlord, he's level 9, has experience points, reserve experience points. So if people don't know about reserve experience points, so let's say he dies, you have a reserve experience points to then essentially create a character with that much experience, that experience level from the get-go. So they're not going to be back to level 1. I think that's probably going to be like level 4, 5, 6, I think. I can't remember top of my head, but something like that. Might be 7. But yeah, so that's pretty damn cool. So even if your main character does die, it's not the end of the world. So and this is one thing I do like. It gives out all his, it's going to do this, I think there's 7 or 8 characters, and it does with everything. It gives all his numbers you need to know, proficiencies, languages. And there's one thing about here, it says like Gavardian, it's a mix of, it sounds like Spanish and Portuguese. Now when it says this does not mean that these are analogous for these people. It's just giving you an idea of what these would sound like. So the language he knows God, which is sort of Germanic sounding, Gavardia, which is Indonesian, Makepta, which is Ethiopian sounding, Orc, which is Germanic sounding. List of weapons he has, the armor, minor magical items carried, equipment, distinctive clothing, what he's going to have, coin on hand, coin in the bank. Talks about his Kogda, which is his horse, what it's going to have. It's a load it can carry, its maximum load, its normal load weight, henchmen. So he has a level 3 and a level 3 fighter and a level 3 priestess. He also has a wife who is pregnant and has a first child on the way. You have mercenaries and specialists. So he has a light infantry guy, an armorer, and a blacksmith. And it does this with all these guys, which is really interesting. So you have the henchmen, specialty stuff. He's a thief, level 8. He has access to more specialists, which can then be used for different like missions, assassination stuff. It's really interesting. I like the way Chubby done this, because remember my first interview with Chubby, I'm just going to call him Greg because that's his actual name. My first interview with Greg, we talked a bit about ACKS, and he showed me, I think it was Warlords of Gavardia map, and I was like, ooh, and then I got ACKS a while later, and these were also the next purchases I made after getting ACKS. These came a little while ago, but not too long ago. We have our paladin here, and the henchmen, the specialists that go along with it, and a scouting ledger. Now this is cool. So you're going to have this giant map. You're going to obviously have a bunch of stuff already in it, and you're going to have enough space to add your own, because it's going to be quite a large map. So it has the skull here, which is unresolved hostile presence. You have a dungeon entrance, clear dungeon, point of interest, beastman settlement, barbarian settlement, and triton settlement. And it has this bunch of different hexes, what there's in them. Okay, look here, the first one, we tracked a warband of orcs back to a Parsade fort, killed 43 of them. It was then burnt down just in case. We also uncovered a widely overgrown entrance to a dwarven vault a short distance away, but it was remarkably intact, but inhabitants were either killed or left a long time ago. So you can go to a hex location and you can find that area and go into it straight away if you wish. Again, we have our black skulls. It's going to be unsolved hostile presence. There's a bunch of them here, so your map is definitely not going to be empty. You then have your dungeon location. Again, obviously dungeons are not going to be listed. You have a barbarian settlement, and there's a bunch of this stuff in here, so which is pretty cool. It's actually quite a large map again, and yeah, I think this is an absolutely excellent way if people want to get into the high level play. We then have, I think it's 3 or 4 sort of city or area locations. So here it talks about the areas within it, some of the more notable shops and stuff you might come across, the amount of families in it, like there's 7,631 families, so there's plenty of room in here to add your own stuff within it, but it just has some stuff ready to go for you from the get-go. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 notable towns, cities, quite large ones. Well, these are actually large cities, because like this, the smallest one is just under 2,000 families. This one's the biggest one with over 7,600 families, 2,400, just under 2,500 families, 3,180 families. So this is definitely an excellent book in my opinion. If you want to get into ACKS and you want to get into high level stuff, you have this. It's a great option. When you get this, again, you will get PDFs of stuff, and you will get the digital map. I'm pretty sure this is the one you can get the print on demand map if you want. I don't have it, mainly because the print on demand maps, poster stuff, just like the cards, come from the US. They're not actually expensive, but shipping is ungodly expensive. That's the problem. I hope DriveThru can sort that out, and so we can have easier access to maps, you know, because it's not like it's hard to get that stuff done in Europe. We have printers everywhere and they're very high quality, so I don't know, it's a bit weird. And this one is Warlords of Gavardia. As you can see, these sort of match, and this is the hardback, this is the softback. These are also very, very cheap. I think they're both under €15. There might be less, there might be 12. I can't remember the top of my head, but Chubby put these at a very low price point. I think it's largely because he really enjoys ACKS and he wants to help get a bit more interest in them, which I think is awesome. Last time I checked, again, it was not expensive at all. And like this book is not massive, but it's not tiny either. You know, you're talking about 60 odd pages.
This one is definitely much bigger. It is like 3 times the size. It has 147 pages of actual content, and then you have the slip page at the back and the front. Warlords of Gavardia. Again, how to use this is going to be a player resource for the game world information for Adventure Conqueror King system ACKS II. For you also use in any OSR type systems. It talks about domain play, how characters can hold notable titles, control land. Basically, talks about the talks about ACKS, what it is. The Empire chapter provides a grand overview of how the Empire operates across the broad dimensions: politics, religion, economics, society, culture, and more. So each of these are going to be referenced to other stuff within the book. So you have the provinces. The provinces the provinces chapter breaks down each province by the language spoken, architecture, styles, unique festivals, dress, cuisine, and pressing security concerns. Reference it to know what to expect when you venture into a new province. This is amazing. This is done in a very short amount of, I think it's only like a little section, but in the actual book itself. But it gives you an idea of how things look, they feel, they sound. You get an idea of the food, so you can sort of imagine things. So he takes sort of real life cultures, mixes them together, places them in a different location, and they also have different kinds of dress. So it's not like, okay, this culture is clearly Japanese. It's like, no, they might have this type of food, but they've dressed in a different way, and they have a completely different type of languages, like a mix, kind of how to talk about the languages in here a little bit. This is definitely a bit more, and again, this is for starting at any level. This one is providing you a lot of stuff for the high level play. So Mulyadi itself is like a level 8-9 character. Here you can start off as a first level party in the middle of a random village in the middle of nowhere, or in a big city, and you go out in the world. Imperial Census. The Imperial Census chapter contains comprehensive lists of every domain in the Empire, organized by province. Use it to reference the number of families, land values, morale, and market class. This stuff becomes a bit more important as you level up and try to do other things. Market data, the same thing. The market data chapter lists demand modifiers on all 28 types of good trade and 100 largest cities of the Empire. Yes, 100. So each area is going to be broken into who controls what and where. And when you look on the map, digital map, it's absolutely humongous. I think it's the equivalent of going from Europe to India or something like that, with a bit of Asia, a bit of Middle East in it. So it's humongous. The big picture: the Arthurian Empire is extended into decency. Although it might be unstable due to overexpansion, the Gavardian Empire still has dynamic, adaptive culture. Gavardians worship Ugar, monotheistic god opposed by Vorse, devil-like nemesis. Lawful characters support Ulgar's civilizing mission, while chaotic characters oppose it. So then you can set in more culty stuff, the undermining of culture and government. So you could have, again, this setting in particular, it's so big, it's so massive, there's lots of details. And again, we'll just skip forward a little bit. Here's some of the locations. So you Senadum talks a few pages here. They each get 3 or 4 pages of stuff. The languages, the festivals, the type of dress, the agriculture, the cuisine, the security, the languages in each area within a province. So, but yeah, you can get into again, it's great for big groups, or if you have the same group on different parts of the map and you have alternating play, or if you have a bunch of people playing different games. This is a great way to do it. I think of, again, everyone's talking about West Marshy type stuff lately, so you could sort of do that. Character design is each other. Character design, sorry. Classes align perfectly. Treat Nobarian wonder worker, as if they were chosen for greatness by Ulgar. Of Caesarian Runeguard would be the servant of Horus instead. The Crusader and Priestess classes would worship Ungar instead of Amnar. So it basically talks about the stuff from ACKS II. But yeah, so this is awesome. It has the breakdown stuff, the imperial census, the provinces, the empire, what things are. And we just go through this pretty quickly. So you have the governments, the different kinds of government, how they're going to work, how succession works, the crown jewels. The crown jewels is an imperial crown in itself. Stiff horn, like bonnet made of jammed jewels and stuff, all crammed into one. So think of basically a king-like figure, or even like a pope-like figure. The imperial senate. Each city in senatum sends an Arderon, a mighty one, to the Imperial Senate in Gavardia. The capital cell itself sends 2 Arderon as well, creating a voting body of 25. The Chrono, the Imperial military, is led by a Chrono. The Senatum, the Senate, provides an Imperial heartland. It has a population of roughly 2 million souls, so again, it's not small. Religion, talks about Ungar. Civil law, the diktat, labor, dominion, what these things are. Holy wars, priesthood, religious orders, how they're going to be organized. Demi-humans are seen as anti-civilization but aren't inherently evil. Dwarves, elves, halflings, or gnomes that wish to enjoy the rights of an imperial citizen must renounce their gods and commit to the fate of Ulgar instead. There are 2 demi-human provinces in part of the empire by tribute only. They are not considered imperial citizens and live under their own legal framework. So essentially, they are vassal states. Essentially, you have to provide a lot of money. Talks about the equinoxes. Any children born within winter solstice of 9 months after this are suspected of moral impurity because of their conception during this time. So it gets into a little more interesting stuff, which you can then play into your character, which I think is cool. You have the summer solstice, fall or winter solstice as well. The caste system, and there are 7 social castes in Gavardia. They are described in the diktat and by hierarchy. So you have the seized, colonial, peasant, artisan, trader, cleric, and nobility. When a person of superior status is met, submission must be demonstrated to recognize their dominion. For just one difference in rank, example, cleric to noble, a simple nod is sufficient. 2 ranks require a partial bow. 3 ranks requires a full bow with a hand on the ground. 4 ranks below requires a bow with both hands on the ground. 5 ranks requires kneeling, posturating, and 6 ranks, example, seize before noble, requires prone prostration. Failure to perform this act is a violation of diktat and can result in accusations of impropriety in religious courts. Okay, so it definitely gets a little more into the social stuff, which again, maybe your party is a bunch of colonial type people, and it talks about in detail what they are. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So maybe if you're outside that sort of system a little bit, your characters need to prostate themselves a little bit, and maybe that's why you then decide to go, fuck it, we're going to go out on our own way and do things how we want. Talked about there's 4 imperial provinces, there's 7 vassal provinces. Because remember we talked about they have the 2 non-humans, which they are almost certainly vassal. Maritime, there's 1 maritime. Colonial, there's 1. Mercantile, and tributary. So it just talks about the division of how things are broken down. You have the military breakdown, economic breakdown, society, hospitality, virtues, families, pilgrimage, funerals, ancestry worship, fields of revival. So it does go into a lot of detail about how everything works. So you have the census. So again, this is a huge place. So you have 431,591 families in the province of Senedum, which is 2,157,955 people. These are not small numbers. Again, you will have large areas of nothingness as well, so that's kind of cool. Again, remember the hexes are massive. They're like 24 mile hexes, which is, if you break it down, that works out to be, I think it's like 200 something miles squared, I think, maybe more, I can't remember. It's ridiculous. But official languages of the empire, so Dabi is Phoenician, Dwarven is like Hungarian, Elven is like West African mix. That's what it sounds. But then it does say here, just because a province sounds like a real language doesn't mean that the culture or practices align with those people in any way. They were chosen for the unique syllabus. So the Gavardia Empire is not like Spanish or Portuguese Empire just because their proper names sound similar, which is something we talked about earlier. It talks about timekeeping, some history stuff and early conquests, expansion, submission, instability, rebellions. So it goes into a lot of stuff here, and it talks into each province. So Senedum is the largest area. Again, it talks about the festivals. So Senedum follows the cycles of Ungar with great vigor. They are the inspiration to all provinces in their piety. The dress of most people of Senedum wear bright yellow and orange dyed robes in public. Wearing darker colours is seen as a sign of nefarious intent, will trigger strong suspicion. So if you come in from the outside, maybe again you're a bunch of adventurers or traders and you're wearing dark clothes, grey clothes, they've been dirtied up a little bit too much, they start to fade, in the browns, maybe you have greens and stuff like that, and they start to get a bit dirty and dark, well, maybe they're going to start looking at you a little differently, Cuisine, transportation, security, how it's going to work in that area. So let's look at transportation. Senedum is a peninsula surrounded by water with numerous lakes and long rivers. This has led to extensive use of watercraft. There are different varieties of small craft for both rowing and sailing. Barges are used on the major river systems, lakes, massive deep draft trading. Vessels are used to cross the open seas with heavy cargo. Again, Senedum is the largest area in the entire map. It's the most powerful. You have, I cannot pronounce that, Carbuco. These are ones that are going to sound like they're sort of Indonesian, but again, they're not Indonesian people. But yeah, so it goes on this for all these sort of locations. They're going to have, most locations are going to have 2 pages. Senedum has the biggest amount of information. Again, let's talk about the languages here as well. The percentage of people, what they speak. And this goes on for quite a bit. And then it goes on to the census. And then you'll have, this is Senedum province. So when it talks about the different hexes, the names, land values you kind of have here. Use value 3, 7, 8, 9, 3, 6, going all the way down. M is the morale, T is the market, so the market chart you're going to be using for these. But yeah, you're still in Senedum. So Arhabia province. So it goes on like this for a while, which this is great if you know anything about ACKS. This is super important for trade and organization. So say if you are in a hex in Senedum, right? And let's say you're in this hex has 1,533 families in hex 5864.
you're in this hex. That total hex is that many families. They have a +4 morale. There's an attack going on nearby. You need to muster so many people. You can then muster 5 to 10%. So you can sort of roughly calculate how many people are in within a family. If the families are calculated at 3 people per family, or 4, depending how things are done, you can then calculate 5 to 10% of men you can then muster from a region. Market values is going to be trade here. Market values is going to be very important as well. If you're moving from area to area, you might want to pick up different goods that might have, and then it will lead to tables that you can then use. And depending on the number, you're going to have different sort of market stuff available to you. Some areas are going to have rich amounts of market stuff available, while others are going to have very low amounts. So it talks about weapons and armor, beer, ale, clothing, common furs, common metals, woods, fine porcelain, glassware, precious metals, preserved fish, meat, books and art, rare wood, salt, semi-precious stones, silk, spices, tea, coffee, textile, wool, tools, wine and spirits. And it goes on like this for different areas. So you can see the name and area here, what it is, and basically that's what the rest of the book is. It's going to be market stuff. Again, extremely important. Yeah, that's the Game of Thrones reference, which I think is cool. Fakari Mahutos. I can't remember how it's actually said. So it talks about the modern people in the new world. English, no worky. All men must die. Modern people live in a world where they have become separated from the basics of sustenance and brutalism of the natural world. They see food as something that appears in the supermarket and being physically secure, rather than a historical exception. As consequences, modern people struggle with overemphasizing. They see a lion chasing a gazelle, they emphasize with the gazelle. They see a powerful nation tell a weak nation what to do, and they empathize with the weak nation. This is backwards and morally wrong. So this talks about don't be a gazelle, be a lion. You know, it's talking about how the world, in our own world, and how you should play the game is, you know, it's not all about your perception of things. So yeah, that's been awesome, guys. Again, this was a long video. We spent about 20-25 minutes looking at just these 2 books, mostly on Warlords of Gavardia because it's a bigger book, and we spent about half an hour looking at 25-30 minutes looking at this, which is really cool. I know I went a bit slow with this, but you know, it's literally my first time looking at it, so in any detail I literally opened up here. But yeah, that's been great, guys. So again, if you like this, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. And again, I will be doing more of these in the future. I'm going to do another one, I think maybe next week. I'll be looking at ACKS II, the Borderlands, the capital of the Borderlands, in a lot more detail because I have it. I'm going to talk about it, show it off. I'm going to show off some Shadowdark stuff as well, maybe 1 or 2 OSE stuff and books. But I knew that these would take up a lot of time, so this is why I only shot off 3. Otherwise we would still be going for another 40 minutes, and that's just too long, to be honest. So yeah, that's it, guys. Again, like I said before a few minutes ago, thank you. It's great. It's when people check these out. So remember, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I will leave in the pinned comment and the description where you can find all my links, the Discord, X account. If you want to use DriveThru, I'll have my affiliate links, so if you use that, it helps with the channel massively, and it doesn't cost you anything. So again, thank you for everyone checking these out, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you, and goodbye.